We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Final segment with Bob Mendez. We, among other things, he's a councilman, of course. 18 more months to your term, right?
Yep.
Your term limited out. Talking about the stadium deal, money, spending, how it goes. Melanie made a great point. And property taxes. I'm sure, Melanie, the property value of your home has skyrocketed, and so you've got this increase. And it is interesting. I think a lot of us do see increases that are like, wow, that's a lot of money. But just as a reminder, not that, it matters in your own personal experience, but the Davidson County and the city of Nashville, when it comes to property taxes, by comparison to other counties, is what?
We have a lower tax rate than any of the other big cities in the state. And
lower than any of the other big cities in the state.
Now, people will say, my property is worth more here.
Right.
But we have a lower property tax rate than any of the big cities in the state.
And that's what's confusing to people, maybe Melanie and others. The rate is low, but when your property has increased and tripled in value because of everyone moving here, then of course you pay a little bit more is how it pays.
The people who feel the most impact are people who live in rapidly changing areas and people on a fixed income.
Yes.
And the city government over 10 or 15 years would be a lot better off if it changed the rate a little bit every couple of years instead of waiting a decade and then doing a massive increase, which is what we did.
Is that just in the charter? Is that the...
I mean, no, from 1980 to 2005, the tax rate changed every 3.5 years on average.
So who makes that call?
The mayor mostly, council secondarily, and somewhere around 05, we stopped doing it every 3-4 years, and it's only changed twice since 05. And people who are especially on a fixed income would do a lot better if they knew every several years it was going to change a little bit rather than getting used to a decade of the exact same. Like, in fact, a lot of people's taxes went down over the course of a decade. My house, before we did the rate increase a couple of years ago, I was paying less for taxes than I had when I bought the house, and because my neighborhood was changing more slowly, we just do better off having more predictable, smaller increases. If a gallon of milk goes up by 5 cents every year, like, it's fine. If it goes up $1 immediately, like, that's a problem.
Gets your attention, right?
Yeah.
You spread it out, and it's an easier way to stomach, for sure, for sure. Just in your mind, then. Like you said, you have 18 more months to your term ends, and is there any timetable for when there will be, again, you say it's leaked out of the mayor's office, the discussions as they go, little bits here and there. I mean, do you think we'll have an idea of what they want to do sometime in the next 6 months?
I am completely making guesses, but my guess is late summer a final deal will be given to us, and it's essentially impossible to get something through the council while we're working on budget. We do that in May and June, so it'll be after that. And then there's a mayoral election in August of 2023, only 18 months from now. And I feel confident that the mayor and the team will want to knock out whatever they're working on for the stadium before the mayor gets into a political race for re-election.
Oh, but do you think that'll be an issue for re-election?
Yeah, I mean, anybody
who's
who's running for mayor is going to get asked, how do you feel about the billion-dollar stadium?
Exactly. They'll hit that. And so I guess the bigger question for the voters when they look at this is going to be, how's it going to be paid for? I mean, everyone will say, okay, I think a lot of people say fine if they can find a way to do it where it doesn't take a chunk out of your pocket. You're thinking it'll be some kind of hybrid between public, private, maybe PSL, even throw that in there. Who knows?
If I'm making a guess, currently Metro owes some amount of money on the existing lease. We're going to be asked to chip that in because we owe that anyway on the current stadium. I don't know what that number is, but that's some number. I think the Titans will have some very large amount of money that they'll put in themselves, and then there will be revenue bonds supported by sales tax from the stadium and the new neighborhood. Is what I think the proposal's going to be.
And if you're the Titans, I don't know how much a factor this even plays into it, but you want to strike while the iron's hot. And what I mean by that is, at least from the fandom and such, you usually notice they raise ticket prices after a successful season. There were several seasons there where they were lousy and the tickets stayed the same, and I can stomach that. And they were some of the lower prices in the NFL. But I mean, the Titans, the number one seed in the AFC. Didn't work out great, but still, you made the playoffs for the 4th straight year, and I wonder if does that play into it at all? I mean, you think you have a really successful team. It's easier to ask for these things, I would think, when you have a team that's playing well as opposed to a bottom dweller.
Sure. I mean, let's face it. If the Titans had made it to the Super Bowl this year, like we all hope for, it would be a bigger ask of the city, right?
Oh, yeah, I have to say, had the Titans made it to the Super Bowl and won, for instance, pie in the sky and won, they get pretty much whatever they want.
It's funny, Nick, I like yelling at my TV a lot during football games, so I like watching it at home myself.
I think a lot of people do, but I mean, because you yell a lot. You and I were yelling a lot during some of these games at the end of the season, man. I just hated that they lost. But all right, as far as the stadium, then sometime before the election, for sure we'll know. But I don't know that it's a huge, big deal one way or the other. I did go out and take a look at the new soccer stadium.
Yeah,
it's almost done, right?
They're supposed to be. I think they got a game like May 1.
So they'll be playing in it during this season. It's almost done. But if you get a chance to go out there, and are they going to spend some money to refurbish or fix up to some degree the speedway right next to it? Or is it kind of as it is?
I mean, this is another thing. The mayor's working on it. Who knows?
Well, when you go out there, I go out there for the flea market still. I'm glad the flea market is still there. It's different. It's not as good as it once was, but they needed that space. But I get a kick. I like the Nashville flea market. And we go out there, and it's going to be, that's a complex. I mean, you've got that stadium slick looking, and you're right. A soccer stadium is different than a football stadium. And I've not been to a soccer game of this magnitude, and I look forward to it when it opens. But it's cool. And then right there's the speedway, and it's like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Nashville's always been a board, east meets west, north meets south, and now we got soccer meets NASCAR.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then if we do get a WNBA team along those lines, do you imagine they would probably play in Bridgestone, or could there be, there's still games played at Municipal, certain teams. I don't even know how that would work.
I've heard Bridgestone, and I've heard do some improvements to Municipal Auditorium. So I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's a work in progress.
I would love to see that. I mean, Municipal right across the street here. And do you ever used to go to concerts there? Mm-hmm. You still have any of your tickets?
No.
Rick, who's back there. How many concerts did you see at across the street at Municipal, Rick? A bunch. And some of the big, I think the Stones played there at one time anyway. So, well, listen, Councilman, thanks for coming on. This is an interesting conversation. Obviously, people have an interest. We got some calls on it. We'll see how it plays out down the road, but I really appreciate you coming on. We'll see you again soon, all right?
Take care.
Take a break, be back and wrap things up right after this. Stay with us.